Well, if you've been around these parts, you know that we've been saying comics are dying for a long time. We've heard rumors that DC's in imminent collapse. We know that IDW has gone bankrupt and, of course, is restructuring and is, of course, delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. It's really looking dismal out there. And now we finally have a comic writer, a pro, one of the top writers of Marvel, actually admitting for once that it's difficult even to get to 15 issues on a title, and this is titles with movies with huge characters. We're going to get into this news in just a second. Of course, they're not going to learn their lesson, but we'll explain why this is going this way in just a moment. My name is John Delarose. I'm a #1 best-selling author and award-winning comic creator. I make my own books. I'd never be hired by corporate comics because I just write good stories. They can't handle that these days. You have to insert your like black, queer, lesbian, pride day, whatever it is these days, into every single book. Otherwise, you get blacklisted. That's where we've been at for a long time. And I was one of the original people that was blacklisted before I even got my up and comings in the industry. And I've been making flying sparks ever since then. This book has been done very well. We made close to $140,000 on this property. And I appreciate you guys for supporting us on that. This is the most recent volume. It's a beautiful book about interdimensional lizard creatures invading, and of course, our heroes having to fight them off. So go check this out. We are delivering digitally immediately. I just got these out to all my backers, and so you'll get that immediately. And of course, we'll be going to print in just a couple of weeks to get these out physically to you guys too. I appreciate you guys for supporting independent comics and the channel. It's important. All right, here it is. Steve Orlando, who's writing for Scarlet Witch, wrote for Supergirl, is writing for Spider-Man 2099, with the big Spider-Verse movie coming out. They're putting him on all the big properties, and they do so because he's a wokeite. He's like a GLAAD award winner, which is the gay, lesbian, something acronym, what all the alphabets, right? And he, of course, has been tweeting relentlessly about Pride Month. If you go to his Twitter feed, it's really cringy. And so here it is. Somebody asked him, hey, what if the sales of Scarlet Witch, are they doing okay? Do you think we could expect to have at least 30 issues? And, one of the few fans who actually reads this stuff at all, because nobody really is. And here it is. Sales are struggling alongside the whole industry. Right now, hopefully we'll get to 10 issues. 10 issues on Scarlet Witch. We'll get to that in just a second, too. To get to even 15 issues, sales will need to continue to climb. Well, sales don't continue to climb. If you look at the trend of how things go, always, of course, issue 1 is your peak. Issue 2 gets about 50% of that. Issue 3, it drops even further, and then 4 and 5 is kind of where it settles down into where its like new norm is. It doesn't usually climb from there. You might get a new arc, a little bump, and then like a back down again, and that's kind of how comic series always go. Flying Sparks, we had, of course, a huge first volume, half second volume, and then it stabilized right there. And third volume, or actually this last one, we actually saw a climb on the 5th volume, which is the first time that's happened with the series. And so that actually bucks the trend. That means word of mouth is actually working for a series. That means people who are enjoying it actually do come back, and there's new people coming in based on that word of mouth. Now, with Scarlet Witch, that's not happening. Sales are not doing that well. They are looking like they're going down here. And that's kind of crazy. If you look at it, Scarlet Witch had a full Disney Plus show last year. It was hyped to hell. Scarlet Witch basically was the star of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, if you look at that movie, it's all about Scarlet Witch, MCU, all the way. So with this character being so high profile, you'd think the comic would be doing amazing. But unfortunately, these comic writers don't actually prioritize the comics. They're too busy worrying about the sexual identity or gender identity of all their characters. And I haven't read this Scarlet Witch thing, but I mean, knowing Steve Orlando, that stuff's going to be all up and down this Scarlet Witch series. It's got to be obnoxious. And so, of course, when that's all they're talking about on Twitter, that's all they're thinking about, they're not telling good stories. They're not making great, of course, classics that are for the next generation that are going to be remembered. These are just bad fan fictions that are putting their weird sexual fetishes into everything. And that's what they've done to all comics at Marvel and DC. That's why they've been failing for so long. Now, they've lied for a lot of years. We've always seen people laugh it off and say, it's not failing at all. You comics people, you don't know anything. But we do know things. We run our own independent businesses. We know how it works. I have to turn a profit on my books or it's gone. Marvel kind of doesn't, because like they just are placeholders for the movie rights, but they still at some point can't lose that much money. And that's where it's at these days. At issue 10, it's losing that much money. That's not even a full year of content. That's absolutely crazy for a Marvel comic. So it's interesting that's finally being admitted. And that is the first chink in the armor of this corporate comics industry that we've seen for a long time. They've been lying about this stuff for years. If you looked at Tom Taylor with his gay Superman last year, he used to talk about how great all the sales were, and they weren't. The series got canceled. I mean, every single time this is happening, and they try to assuage their own like diminishing audiences about this, while independent comics are growing and doing quite well. It's really sad to watch, but you know, it's not that sad because these people have blacklisted us. They've been rude to us. They've told us we're not welcome in the industry, and they've told the fans that they're not welcome in the industry also. So that's where they are. That's what they get. And gosh, unless these things start to change, it's going to keep going this way. We'll be reporting on it. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out Flying Sparks, bucking the trend. It's continuing on well. Thank you guys. And we'll be back soon.